All right, so now we're going to go into an interesting story that's been in the news recently about 50 Cent.
Curtis Jackson.
Queens get the money.
Are you from Queens?
From Queens. Brooklyn and Queens, but I claim Queens.
Okay. 50. Yeah, 50 Cent. We like 50 Cent. He's actually, I think he's more entertaining as an entertainer at this point than a rapper.
Absolutely.
He's hilarious. He's actually hilarious.
He's actually really fucking funny.
We've been rocking with him for a long time.
Yeah, but I mean, Get Rich or Die Trying, classic. Even before that, the mixtape era.
Mixtape era killed it.
Changed the game.
He changed the game with the mixtape era.
All right. So he bought a house. He bought Mike Tyson's house in 2000.
Can we even call it a house? We gotta call it a state.
That's a. I don't even know if you can call it a state. That's a compound.
Yeah. Okay. That's better. There we go.
That's a compound.
I think it's the biggest state compound house on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It has 50 bedrooms and 19 bathrooms.
It's crazy.
And it's 50,000 square feet fitting.
50,000.
So
Yeah.
And the address was, I think,
50 something drive.
50 something drive.
So it's ironic.
It works.
So he bought it in 2003 from Mike Tyson's ex-wife for $4.1 million. Mm-hmm. And he turned it into... Oh man!
It was like a Playboy Mansion times 10.
Yes, right? He put a stripper
poles, club, studio,
a brothel.
You gotta love it.
Yeah, he had a cathedral atrium in there. This it was ridiculous. 2 basketball courts, a studio, like you said, a club. It was called Club.
It was right at the tip of my head.
Club 50, I think.
No, it was something else.
It's all right. It was a club.
It was a club.
Yeah, and the sound system cost $100,000.
He went in.
He put $6 million into it.
Yeah.
In addition from the $4 million that he actually paid for it. So he's $10 million total.
$10 million.
Then he realizes that I don't really want the house anymore. But the interesting thing about the house is that it's in Connecticut.
Yeah, Farmington, Connecticut.
It's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
In like a middle class neighborhood.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like 5 times bigger than any other house in the neighborhood.
It's bigger than most hotels.
It's bigger than 5 times bigger than probably any house on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So now he decides he wants to sell it. I think it's been on the market for like 10 years.
12 years.
12 years.
2007, he decides to sell it. He lists it for $18.5 million.
Yeah.
Try again. No, then nobody's buying it for $18.5 million. So he just recently sold it for $2 million?
Yeah, 2.9.
$2.9 million. Yeah. Man. So that's like a 79% loss.
The headline was like 84%
from the asking price.
And
like a 79% from total what he's all in.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because it's like, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you really think about it, especially in our area, $2.9 million is not a lot of money.
Yeah.
For 50 bedrooms and 19 bathrooms.
When you really think about
it, that's attainable. Like,
it's not too far fetched.
No, it's not.
You got 6-bedroom homes going for that price.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
for
so
sure.
it's like it's crazy that it costs that much. And then it's also crazy that it depreciated that much. So like, what's the takeaway here? Like,
oh man, there's so many takeaways with this story, good and bad. The first thing that stands out in my head, being in the business, is over improving a house for a neighborhood. Right? I do a lot of renovation loans, so what I try to tell people is don't create the white elephant in your neighborhood, because you'll never get that money back. You'll actually lose. And I think this is a prime example of having that white elephant. Yeah. And over improving.
You want to get a story on the white elephant? Yeah. So like the white elephant really it was a gift that was given to a king or somebody of that stature, or emperor. And it was a beautiful gift because it was rare. You could never find these things, right? But after he got it, he realized all the burdens that came along with it. What do you feed this thing? How do we make sure that it stays healthy?
Yeah.
And it just becomes something that is there that has no use.
Yeah.
So they say white elephant in real estate, that's what they're talking about. Like I remember in Rio, when they built the Summer Olympics, they were building all these stadiums, and it was like, what are we going to do after the Olympics leaves? We have a bunch of white elephants, all these stadiums, all this infrastructure. Nothing to use it.
Nothing to use it for, right?
Greece, another example.
And that's kind of what happened in this situation, right? So that's the biggest takeaway that I got off of it being in the business is just don't over improve the house, because you never know what the market is going to do. When he made that $6 million investment of renovating the home, it probably was a great idea at the time, right? Mm-hmm. When you purchase that type of home, and you put in that type of money, no one at that time was really, if you was not in the market, on Wall Street and really paying attention on the back end, which I'm not even going to get into, this too complicated, but if you wasn't paying attention, you really didn't know. So at that time, it probably was a great idea, but time told that it wasn't a great idea. So that's one of the major things that I got out of it, that he took such a big loss that we see. But on paper, when it comes to tax strategies and everything like that, listen, 50 is smart.
Yeah.
He donated the proceeds to charity, tax strategy, right? Along with helping and doing what he has to do. So I'm sure over the last 12 years, he's been able to write off a lot of these losses and will continue to probably write off.
He wasn't even living at the residence.
Yeah.
And one of the things he was trying to do was make it a part of his G Unit Foundation where kids could go as a summer camp retreat. And I think like off camera we were talking about like, so he probably didn't even buy this as Curtis Jackson.
Oh, definitely probably not, right? It probably was in one of his many businesses names.
Yeah.
So, that's when you see these headlines, right? It's eye-popping,
right?
84% loss. But do we really know how much he really lost, or did he really lose in this entire deal when you break down from a tax perspective too? But the one thing is for sure, he overinvested into the property. And there's no denying that, right? You purchased it for 4.1, you put in 6, you sold it for 2.9. You lost. You took an L when it comes to that. But on paper, he probably didn't take as big of an L that the headlines in the papers are making it out to.
And you gotta keep it classy too. It's like putting rims on a Rolls Royce. Like
Something's just
you can't put a stripper pole in Connecticut. I don't think there's too many people.
Listen, man. Listen, I'm not even going to argue the stripper pole. When you're in his lifestyle and his business.
No. It's good for him, but if you ever thought about reselling
it.
But
for resale. But that's again, when you renovating your home, you got to be careful of what you're putting in there because your taste may not be my taste.
You got to think the person that's going to buy it next.
Yeah, exactly. And you always got to be thinking about that resale. And maybe that's something that he never thought that he would ever sell the property. He probably thought he would always keep it, right?
When he was putting those murals up of himself.
When he was putting the murals up, doing everything that he did to the property, he probably never thought, like, I'm going to sell this in 10 years or 12 years. Probably thought it was going to be his compound forever, but, life changes, right? And that's the most important thing about real estate is you never know. Life moves in whatever direction it needs to move in. The market doesn't care about your stripper poles.
No, I don't. But it really don't
care.
The person who bought the compound, he said that he's going to invest money to renovate it too, right?
Yeah. So I read that this morning that he's going to invest millions of dollars into the property. So for me, this is a
just keep going.
This is like a never-ending story. I think that we're going to be speaking about for years to come because who knows what type of foolery that he's going to do in the house. And
it's that there's something about that house because before Mike Tyson had it,
the Tigers and everything.
The gentleman who owned it, I think he went to prison for fraud, right?
Fraud, yeah.
And then Mike Tyson, we probably should maybe just turn that into a motel.
Listen, at this point, it's probably fitting for a hotel.
Right, yeah. But it's just it's in like the middle. It's Farmington, Connecticut, which is, if you live in a tri-state, that's not close to here, which was probably why he wasn't staying there. Like he's in New York, he's in LA.
Yeah.
It's like 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
If you've ever driven through Connecticut, it's like, bro, you're looking at trees for hours.
for hours. But 50 wasn't driving it. It was taking helicopter.
Helicopter, right?
It's just a different lifestyle. But that house is definitely like a white elephant, like you said, and that could be a lesson for anyone who's buying real estate. Just don't over-improve. Don't put too much money because you never know how the neighborhood is going to change in the next couple of years. So if anybody going to learn anything from this, that's what we need to learn from it. Don't over-improve your property.
Shout out to 50.
Shout out to 50.
Shout out to 50.
Love what he's doing with Power and everything. Yeah, shout out to 50.
He got some new series that he...
that white elephant, I don't know if that actually... If there's a white elephant, is that just like one of those make-believe stories, though? Because I'm just thinking about it. What makes a white elephant harder to feed than a regular elephant?
No, because it's a rare. It's rare. No, look, it's like this. No, it was rare. So it was like it's like the unicorn theory. It's like, yo, do they eat the regular food, or you know what I'm saying? Like it was under that premise. Like, how do I treat this?
So an albino elephant doesn't eat regular.
I don't know. I never had one. I'm like, my thing is like a white elephant doesn't even exist. It's a theoretical story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm about to say it's not a real story.
No.
I thought it was like a real story.
Oh no! That's like a unicorn. Like we've never seen a unicorn, but like, how do you feed a unicorn?
Or Santa Claus.
Or Santa Claus.
We never seen Santa either.
Yeah.
Never came.
You
down
thought
much
like
of
it was a proverb, like.
I thought it was a real story.
No.
Shout out to 50. Shout out to the white elephants in the world, man.
Word, shout out.
Like remember in Greece? Did you post that?
What?
In Greece, where they have like Athens, what it looks like now. They had the Olympics in 2010.
Oh no, I know that. Yeah, the
You know what I'm
Olympics.
saying?
Yeah,
Like what it like? Have you seen it? What it
Yeah.
looks like now?
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
Completely run down.
Yeah.
They can't. It's
Waste of money.
wasted money.
Yeah.
Just to have this one event. Like these things are white out. Same thing's gonna happen in Rio. Like some places should not have the Olympics.
They built the a stadium in the rainforest
Why?
It's crazy.
in Rio.
Why? And when they try to have events, it was flooded.
Yeah.
The whole city flooded. Nobody
Yeah.
can get to the events. It's like, all right, you spent $80 million to build this stadium, probably more. Now we have no use for it because you can't even play.
They
It's in
just
the
have an
rainforest.
abandoned stadium in the rainforest.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, we'll have club teams come," but a club team's not going. Some of these club teams can't put 100,000 people in there.
Nah,
They can't afford to go to the games.
Nah,
Look at the
hell
environment
no.
you built it in.
It's terrible, man.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Well, there you have it.